MMAfighting.com, and we are.
I want to plunge the coffee. We're just sitting there. It's overbrewed.
As soon as we do the intro, just like,
go, do the intro, go.
MMAfighting.com. We are in Melbourne, Australia, and we have just wrapped really our week at UFC 243, and we just decided we'd have a little sit down and some coffee and discuss everything that's happened over the last week with the great Casey Leydon and Esther Lin. How are you guys?
Can we plunge the coffee?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, wait, together. Now we can talk.
Yes, so I'm actually looking forward to some coffee. I slept in. I have my flight to get in a few hours, so this is very much needed. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
I wish I was as thoughtful as you guys.
No, it's just her, not me. Thoughtful as
So I mean, it feels like we were talking about this after the event yesterday, and it's really stuck with me, the fact that Israel Adesanya is making us very excited about this sport again, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's such a breath of fresh air, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's really great because, I was talking to Casey last night and we kind of had the thought at the same time, which was, excuse me, let me turn off the ringer on my phone.
Amateurs.
Amateurs.
First day.
The thought at the same time was like, you know what? I get asked a lot, when are you going to make another focus? And I just don't. There hasn't been a lot of storylines that have really kind of captured my. There's no stories to tell, really. Hasn't been the same. And so, but last night I felt like I have a story to tell, especially because we spent so much time here in Melbourne, and we went out to the Muay Thai fights. We kind of got a feel for the city. So there's definitely more to talk about. Also, he's kind of reignited my my excitement for the sport.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you feel the same way? I mean, it feels like everything this guy does is new and everybody else is just not new. You know what I mean? He feels he has this kind of brand new feel off him. Like from the entrance yesterday where he's dancing on the way in, I was just like, where do you have that in your mind on the biggest fight of your life? You're just going to have a little choreographed dance thing. Like, it's just insane.
Is this guy ever nervous? I mean, I just... Watching that fight, I was kind of sitting in the stands watching the walkout because I wanted to kind of get the feel for the arena, how it looked, and I was nervous. I was like, he's got this is a fight in front of 55,000 people. Most of them, I would say a good 2/3, 75% of them don't want him to win.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm gonna choreograph this dance. I'm gonna do a little flip. I have little dancers that high fiving. Everyone's doing a little what do you call it?
The Naruto run.
Naruto run.
Oh, no, yeah.
Anime. I just call it an anime run.
Little anime
I'm sorry, Jose. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh God, Jose's gonna be mad. And I was just like, I'm thinking this guy's insane, and also at the same time, the size of the balls on this man to do that, and oh, I'm gonna do that, and then get in a cage and fight the toughest fight of my life on paper, at least, And I was just like, this is freaking awesome.
Is there anything to this? I was thinking about this last night. Do you think he planned so many little things in a week that the fight just becomes another little thing?
Yeah.
Like the way he came out that time, he had the dance. He was going to the clothing department there the day you arrived. That seemed to be a big media thing. The changing of the jerseys, all this kind of stuff. It just feels like the fight is another thing for him. You know what I mean? He doesn't put it on a pedestal as such. He's just like, I have to go and do this. I'm going to have to do that dance. Then I'm going to go in. I'm going to win the belt. Then I'm going to do a dance after that. You know what I mean? It just feels like...
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah,
Kind of reminded me of... Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Mayhem said this, and Mo had mentioned it before too, about people used to criticize him for his big entrances. And he'd be like, oh, he's like, how can you win when you're, spending so much time? He's like, no, it actually helps me. Choreographing this entrance, taking the time to do it, just gets my mind off of the, just the little, nagging details of the fight. So I can you can just think about all the good things that'll happen or whatever, all the processes. And this entrance is just part of it. It makes it, as you said, just kind of part of the process. And now it's just, I do this, I do this, I do this. And now it becomes a checklist, like a step-by-step checklist, instead of really thinking too hard about the fight itself. Is giving yourself other things to kind of divert your mind, not too much, obviously, because you want to think about training, but fight week, what are you going to do? You're not running over everything again.
He even said that, right? He said, it's fight week, I have nothing to do. He said that yesterday at the post-fight press conference. You're like, it's fight week, you have nothing to do? You're the main event, dude. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's actually you're not actually training anymore. Actually, you're doing the opposite. You're breaking a sweat every day, but you're not training. You actually want everything to recover in your body. So what happens is a lot of fighters just sit in their hotel room and just stare at the wall just think about the fight, think about the game plan, and they actually start losing energy because they're just so filled with anxiety. And I think what he does, but on the internet, all this, he did like store appearances on a fight week, like, which I don't.
And he met everyone. It felt like that when the footage I saw, he was standing there shaking hands, no problem to him, big smile on his face. You're like, what the hell? Man?
It looked like a post-fight kind of store appearance. It didn't look like a pre-fight week store appearance. And it's going back to just this reinvigorating my my fandom for the sport. He absolutely has brought it back. I just love that he's a nerd. Yeah, people don't understand. He's an actual nerd. He's just a nerd that learned how to just kick everyone's ass too. And I just love that aspect of him. And I think I saw like, I think when I saw him do that dance coming out, I was like, okay, this guy's the coolest fighter in the UFC. And then like 4 or 5 hands rolled back. You think that's cool? I was like, yeah, it is.
No, definitely.
You're a dork. You suck.
One thing that was funny about that when we were talking about was Casey saying like, this guy probably goes to do this on his way to get milk. If he had a big enough platform, he'd do it like bam, bam, bam. Milk. That's great. You know what I mean? But he does feel like he's hitting so many different audiences, right? As you said, the anime.
Oh, sorry, one quick. And I'm so happy. Like he is in, like you said, you're going to get milk. He's in the position where he can tell the UFC, no, this is how I want it. This is how we're going to do it. Because he mentioned,
yes,
at his last fight, the UFC nixed it. Dana, I'm assuming.
He wanted to dance.
I'm assuming the Kelvin fight, he wanted to come out and do a dance and all that, and have a big entrance. And UFC's like, no, we're not going to do that.
Why the hell wouldn't you want to do that? Like,
I have no clue.
It's annoying when you hear that.
It's not part of...
Because it's not fighting, bro.
Is it sponsored by Reebok? We don't want it.
Yeah, I was like, I just have no clue why the UFC would ever be against that, especially... I mean, clearly they changed their mind and got wise to it, but...
I think every once in a while for these big shows, you really need to change it up. I was just commenting to someone the other day that, like, oh, how was Abu Dhabi and stuff like that? I was like, oh, it was great. But after the sunset, you could have been in any city.
That's
you
true.
couldn't really tell where you were. And there wasn't anything that necessarily made it different unless you, like, really, really looked out into the crowd. And I feel like this is what's nice about this event was that... the UFC crew, and actually Megan said that they did other things on the broadcast. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Megan Levy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, Megan Levy. And I'm curious because it sounds like ESPN kind of stepped up their, the broadcast, changed things up. And I'm glad that people are willing to do something different for a bigger show, and they should.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pay-per-view and the ESPN broadcast had like a newer, modern, one of those, 3D kind of graphics.
Spirally situation.
Yeah, like we're going into the octagon, through an octagon into the octagon. I don't know. It was fancy. It was fancy. I didn't love it, but I love that they're trying new stuff.
Yeah.
I love that, and that's what's important. Because I just get so. It's just because maybe we go to too many of these events that...
Oh, yeah, the guys are on the road all the time.
Yeah, just like, the same song. Oh, Black Hole Sun remix.
Turn down for what? Don't forget the classic.
We don't know what it is either. Every time, turn down for what? Answer the damn question.
I don't. That's the beauty of the song. It's a constant mystery.
Yeah.
But there was also at one stage, me and Casey were in the back, where you were taking pictures, cage side. And next of all, they start playing this wine ad. Remember, Melbourne has some fantastic wines, and we're like, they were putting these video inlays into the broadcast.
It was funny. Like I heard it come on, I thought someone changed the channel.
He's running over angry.
It was like a vineyard, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, this is way too classy.
Is that what you mean when they say it's kind of putting them more on the location when they're doing stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, I had heard that the Melbourne Tourism Authority had a lot to do with this event happening, and it seemed like that's what they wanted. We're hoping that people would look at Melbourne as a destination to visit, and it is. It's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful
absolutely.
City. And it's lots of fun, and we had a great time here, despite the weather being kind of crazy.
It was fantastic, just like Ireland. Look at this. It was perfect for me and my freckles.
But I want to go back to actually what you said about Izzy being a different kind of, he's a nerd and all that kind of different kind of champ. And what he said at the press conference last night was that we have this image of what a tough guy is, and that image is Paulo Costa. Or whatever, or, any number of people, but it's not Izzy.
Okay.
Right, because he's, skinny, right? Or whatever.
It doesn't look skinny to me. My God.
Costa keeps calling him skinny, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Or whatever, you know what I mean? But, Costa is definitely when you think of, a cage fighter or a tough guy, he's definitely your mental image, right?
Yeah.
Izzy is not your mental image of that. But he kind of reminds me, just kind of brings it back to Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee, all these kind of smaller figures that were that entertained and were amazing athletes and martial artists. And that's really he's you could be. That's the nice thing about MMA, and this is something that we all liked about it from the beginning too. Is you don't have to be that big tough guy to win, and this kind of helped that that idea come back, I think.
It's one thing Casey said to me during the week as well. Isn't it terrible that he has to wear one of these regimented Reebok gear? Can you imagine if that guy had control over his own wardrobe, what he'd be wearing in the octagon? It feels like such an individual like that is really kind of hindered by the fact that he has to wear, you have to fit into this kind of cookie cutter uniform and wear things like that,
But I'm glad that they at least commissioned John Galong to do the shirt, because that way at least there was some art involved.
Yeah, if you notice, actually, Izzy's official Reebok shirt is by an artist named Jean Galong. And
he did stuff for Fightland back in the day and stuff like that. He's brilliant, yeah.
He's actually
great Mark Hunt stuff with the bricks in his hands and everything. Amazing, yeah.
Google him, he's a great artist. He's actually done an all elbow shirt.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, our Pizza Dinosaur shirt.
So it's going slow, but the Reebok and the UFC is starting to figure out, we don't want to see fighters in uniforms. They're not fight kits. They're uniforms.
But it suddenly just irritates
but now that they're slowly letting guys like Izzy branch out a little bit with a shirt that represents him who he is a little better. But I was commenting that I feel Izzy is the first UFC fighter in the post Reebok era to really become a star. And I felt that's been very difficult in the Reebok era for it. And unfortunately, Izzy has to have one of the biggest personalities and be one of the best fighters in the world to kind of break out into that stardom. But I'm hoping we get more breakthrough stars in this post Reebok era. Yeah,
because you think about Conor's iconography. We were talking about the
dethrone.
The dethrone guy, and having that imagery and having being able to have this brand from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Really helped him, even though eventually, was in Reebok and stuff like that, and you can all the clothes started to be the same. But at some point, up until that, he was this image of,
Yeah, no, absolutely. It feels like another thing we were all talking about is the fact that he knows his value, right? Between him and Eugene Behrman, they're so different, right? These two guys, but between them, it just feels like they have it sussed in their head. When they're talking about the game, and they're talking about we know what we're bringing to the table here. Doesn't it feel like it's just an extra level of intellect for that certain thing, as in knowing how much they're worth, knowing their value, knowing that they are bringing so much to the party? Did you get that vibe off the two of them this week?
I wanted to ask you. You said that you were watching Eugene when
Israel
won, and what did he do?
It was like nothing. It was like a walk in the park. As we know, we knew he was cornering on Friday. Saturday we were at the Muay Thai show on Saturday, and when he won, he just kind of walked in. No, it was actually just at the end of the first round he had been knocked down. So at that stage, it changes a lot of things in the fight. We know here that Stylebender has the guy hurt, and we know they're going to have to start fighting in a minute. Eugene didn't change his facial expression, just walked in and gave him a little thumbs up. And then at the end, he's standing outside nothing, just looking around. 60,000 people losing their minds. Okay, let's try and get home, beat the traffic. You know what I mean? It's incredible though. It just seems like
it reminded me of a lot is actually go back to UFC 193, and I think Eugene Behrman is a next generation Greg Jackson. Right. When Greg Jackson came into the sport, I think he really changed the game as far as MMA training, MMA camps. And when Holly Holm knocked out Ronda, Holly's wrestling coach, Izzy Martinez, was like, "Rah, going crazy, crazy! Ah, hey, Joe Rogan!" He's screaming like he did it. But Greg just went "Awesome, we did it. That's what we planned for." Yeah. And he told Izzy, "Hey, this is what we planned for. This is fine, And then and Greg's the same way. Like, he doesn't really enjoy doing. He only does interviews if it's, out of politeness, honestly, he's just like, and just to benefit his own fighter. I get so many of the same vibes when we talk to Behrman. It's just that same, like, no, this is kind of what we do. We trained for it. We expected to win, and we won.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's make sure we make our flight back home. I got dogs to walk.
He disappeared before the press conference.
Yeah, he didn't show up at the press conference. Yeah. Just because he's like, I'm tired.
I don't think he doesn't really like all of it, He doesn't like all that stuff, and Izzy is so good at it, so it's like it's just a really weird dynamic that works so well, and you can see how revered he is. Like, sometimes, like, you see these stars, and when they're talking about their coaches, it's like, they don't really matter, it's about me, but you can just feel how much this guy means to everyone, and even at the Muay Thai event, everyone's like, they're shouting him out over the microphone every few minutes, and he couldn't, like, he's trying to make himself smaller in there, He doesn't want any of this stuff. He's like just trying to corner and get out, and they're like, and just in case you didn't hear us, Israel Adesanya's coach Eugene Behrman's here, and he's like, oh my god, you just imagine him in the back, Jesus.
Despite he's a large muscular man, but beyond that, he's you wouldn't really notice him. He just likes to kind of just get through things and hang out with his family, I'm sure.
You said something yesterday that I keep thinking about as well. It's the between the two main events, how they finished, 193 and 243. You were saying, like, it's nearly an identical moment, right?
I felt that way. I felt that way. Because for Ronda, I would say 95% of the people were there for Ronda. And for this event, not quite as many, but I'll say 75% of the crowd wanted Whittaker to win. And when that knockout came, when both knockouts came in 193 and 243, there was just kind of a hush in the crowd, like, oh, our boy lost. But then, cool. It was like, like, people weren't mad at Holly when they won. It was like, damn, she knocked out her girl. Well played. And I felt the same way for this when Rob got knocked out. Because both knockouts, when they, like, when it went the other way, it went the other way fast. When the fight ended, it wasn't like this kind of prolonged end. It was just, whoa, okay, it's done. Which is what the sport is.
Yeah, and the fights were even very similar. It felt like Rob was rushing in 2 strikes.
Much like Ronda was like just
bulldozing forward,
just over aggressive, and like Rob was over aggressive.
And even in the post fight, when you asked Rob about the fight, he was just kind of like, I thought I was doing great. It was like, it's like, all right, I can't argue with that because I'm not you, but I will say that it didn't feel like that. It did feel like he was rushing into things.
What about that picture you took?
Yeah, so I had the same reaction. I remember, actually sort of different, because this one I've become less and less, I get really heartbroken when I don't get the shot. So I try not to think about it too much. So at 193, I took the photo, and then once everybody had like hand raised and all that stuff, I immediately sat down and started scanning through my pictures because I was like, did I get it? Because I remember there was a poll in front of me. But this one didn't matter to me because I got the celebration, I got it, got a picture of his family, got him on the cage flipping off Paulo Costa. So I felt like I had gotten enough. And then I just kind of sat down and I was importing photos, and I was like, I got to get a couple of belt shots for the site, blah, blah, blah. And as I scanned through and I saw the shot that Rob landed, and then I saw the return right hook.
It was
so left.
He got hit. Rob got Izzy got hit
with the overhand right.
Overhand right. Then he returned with a left.
Right.
No, sorry, he returned with a right. That kind of brought Rob to the other side, and then
because he actually hit him with his forearm right here.
He's like swinging back, or he's like going with the momentum of the punches.
But I went through the photos, and I went through, and for some reason, I skipped to the one right after. I was like, there's probably more things happened in the middle, so I was just gonna skip to the after, and I saw like kind of the blood and the air and stuff, and then I was like, okay, let's go back one shot. So I went back, and then I saw it, and I actually just screamed. I was sitting there editing, and I was like, ah!
And then someone beside you was like, is everything okay?
Yeah, the camera guy was like, he's like, what's up? Like, are you okay? And I was like, I just looked at him, he's like, oh, you got the shot. And I was like, and I just kind of like smiled awkwardly at him, and he looked over, he's like, yeah.
The picture is phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
When I saw it on TV, because like, so for the viewing experience, you sat press row. You were obviously by the cage. I decided to watch it in the press room because I wanted to kind of see it how 99% of people are going to see it on TV to get their experience. And on TV, in the pay-per-view broadcast, the sequence is so almost chaotic and tight. Like it didn't really look. He obviously got hit hard, but I didn't understand how violent that shot was until I saw that photo.
Like it's like he's force feeding him a blood burrito.
That's what, it's like you just.
But it's so fast when you watch it back in real time. I watched it over and over again last night. When you watch it back in real time, it happened so quickly. It doesn't even seem like it. It doesn't make sense. It just.
He had a great angle on that shot, the one that dropped him. As he flies backwards, right? Like he goes all the way back, and just the look on his face, it's not like a look like, oh, that really hurts. It's like just shocked, like where the hell did that come from? He's just like, as he's moving back, you just see him, it's always like, what the fuck just happened here? You know, it's just like the moment was insane to be there. You know what I mean? And like as you said, that pause, is that just people like trying to process this? Do I like him? Do we? We love him. You know what I mean?
We think. I think. Even at the moment when it happened, I felt, because there was no ground and pound shots, like Rob's head never like hit the back of the mat, which are kind of like the key signs of when your head hits the back of the mat, you're like, okay, that's a bad sign. But he never really went out. So at first I was like, oh, that's an early stoppage. But then you watch again and you see that Rob was like, nah, I'm done. And great reffing by Mark Goddard. Yeah, great reffing because that could have gone a little longer, but it ended perfectly.
Goddard's a fantastic referee. I think he's one of the best in the world, without a doubt. Maybe the best in the world at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, I have no problem saying that.
For sure there was a split second where I was like, oh, is it a little early?
Yeah, he's like,
fast.
It happened so fast, and so it was, because he wasn't laid out, you know, which kind of, as a fan, you kind of want, it's okay, no, it's done. But, but seeing your pictures and then actually analyzing watching the replay again and go, oh, okay, wow, it was actually, as many fights as we've seen, I was like, I was still like, that was an incredible athleticism and fight skill to pull that combination off after getting hit hard. Yeah. To get hit hard, I don't know what Rob hit him with, but it was a significant shot that kind of pushed him back, and then it was just like
insane. The way he's rolling with the it's like Bruce Lee. It's like Anderson Silva. It's like all that stuff. Like, this is martial arts. He's putting the art back into it, really, isn't he?
And what he said, he's going to make it look easy, and it does look easy, but it's not.
Yeah, no. And like going back a little bit, people were kind of I think Rob just kind of hyping himself up. But before the fight, we asked him about, were you impressed with Izzy when he fought Kelvin? And he was like, no, he got hit a lot by a little short wrestler. And that wasn't my impression at all from that fight. My impression from the Kelvin fight was like, no, Izzy obviously is a A-level striker and an A-level fighter, but he's also tough as nails. And the fact that he can, and so that toughness showed in that finishing combination. The fact that he ate that punch, but still stayed composed enough and had his technique enough to throw that combination. And I don't think that's something that Rob, you can't prepare for. There's no sparring partner, no training partner you can hit that hard and they can come back with you with so much precision. That's just no one like that. It's just people like that don't exist.
Well, I was gonna say, actually, for me, that's what makes the difference between an elite fighter and just a regular fighter. And because I would say Rob actually did that a lot in the Yoel Romero fight. I think fights like that take a lot out of you.
Oh, without a doubt.
But I said, like, for me, a great fighter is someone, for the most part, obviously you shouldn't get hit, but if you do get hit, it's the fighters who go through that. They get hit, still execute.
You were mentioning about the pictures, the reactions to the fans. Like, people are acknowledging, like, I'm really sad for Rob. That's important, right? Like,
to me, that is the best comment that people are leaving is, I'm sad for Rob, or heartbroken for Rob, and happy for Izzy. I kind of go through the comments and generally keep an eye out for really negative stuff. I like to delete that stuff or, clear it out, because it's just like, why do that? That's not what I'm here for. And I just am happy to see that people are acknowledging that in a fight, there's a winner and there's a loser. And usually if you lost, there's pain involved, there's financial loss, there's a lot of stuff, but it's a fight. It's real. So don't forget that there's someone else on the other side of that. And I think that when you were talking about professionalism in the sport and raising that level, is reminding people that this is still prize fighting and is still fighting. It kind of reminded me back actually when we were doing bare knuckle and we were talking to Paulie, and he said that the reason why people don't, he's like, why MMA guys still, and Izzy said this as well, because he did the Death Note thing. It's just like, why MMA guys still say, I'm going to kill that guy. And they don't really do that in boxing. And why it was a big deal when Deontay Wilder said it was because people do die in boxing. That's happened a lot. And so...
MMA has been fortunate enough not to see that, not to experience that at a high level yet.
Yeah.
At a high level. It's happened at lower levels, but at the UFC level...
At the pinnacle.
It hasn't happened, but... It's an inevitability.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it is.
Sorry.
But so what I meant about that was like at some point, I mean, Izzy kind of sidetracked it with it being mainly around an anime or a manga series, so it's more about that. It's the theme of the Death Note, not so much I'm actually literally killing him. But at some point, that stuff is going to have to come into view because this is dangerous. And people do get hurt. Yeah,
and I mean, just on Rob, his evolution of a fighter has come from defeat. At welterweight, it kind of led to this great passage now at middleweight where he became the champion. And I think it goes without saying that this guy is going to get back into that title conversation pretty soon, right? He's a tremendous fighter in his own right.
No doubt. I would like to. I don't know who he should fight next. I have to look at the rankings, but. I could see him fighting if he wins his next fight, I could see him fighting the winner of Kelvin versus Till, something like that, and then for a tie. Because obviously Kelvin should be up for it. Kelvin, I would suspect would be good for a rematch eventually with Adesanya, considering how close that fight was.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was up for grabs in the 4th round, and Whittaker being an ex-champ, he's right there too. So
I don't see him doing necessarily more than two more fights to get back in at all. One more fight, one impressive win will also get him back in too. So
So I mean, I guess that's everything that we have. We've laid it on the table for you guys. Okay, we've had some coffee. We've given you everything we have. We're very tired. We have to go home. Me to Ireland, these guys to California. But it's been a pleasure to work with you guys. Honest to God, you're two legends, and it make everything so easy. The first time before I went to Abu Dhabi, I was like so nervous. I was like, I'm gonna fuck this whole thing up, and they're gonna think I'm an asshole. You do think I'm an asshole, but at least we get on well and we work well together. It would seem anyway. So thanks so much. Well, I tried.
Potato.
But
no, dude, it's been freaking awesome. When did we first meet? We met...
I think the first time we were properly all talking with each other was probably 204 in Manchester. I wasn't on the team.
Yeah, you were on the team, yeah. I think you were just... we were of Aereo, and you were kind of... we brought you in as like Irish media to talk about...
I would have saw you at London events, stuff like that.
Yeah, we had met you also at the 2015 Dublin event. Was it 2015?
Oh, 2014, yeah.
2014.
That's right.
Sorry, 2014 Dublin event, yes.
Yeah, so, we got rid of that Hawani guy, and now...
Thank God.
I'm Barry Hawani, Montreal Expos. ESPN. What does that even stand for? Is that even a thing? I don't know.
I love you, Ariel. Don't mind them. Whatever they say doesn't count for me.
Yeah.
Call me. check your DMs.
But it's I guess that's all we have. So from me, Peter Carroll, Casey Leydon, and the great Esther Lin.
The greatest.
We love yous and goodbye. See yous in few days.
Arrow wouldn't have screwed that ending up, and he would have killed it, man. But no, you Peter Carrolled it.
The end.